you're licensed and your insurance income still feels inconsistent, it's not because you can't sell, but it's because you're not running them out. You know, most agents think they need better leads, they think they need a better script, they think they need more motivation, watch more videos. They don't. They need structure. And once you understand the importance of that, insurance is just merely a numbers game, then you stop guessing and you start engineering your income. And so when we look at how to sell insurance in 2026, you know, when you look at it, insurance is merely just math plus structure. And when you look at it, your income is equal to your conversation. So how many conversations are you having and how many of them are being converted into closes? And when we look at that in specific, you'll understand that if you just have random input, not knowing how many appointments you're getting, not knowing where your appointments are coming from, your income is going to be random as well. Now, before we dive into it and really look at exactly how we make sure agents succeed, the first thing we want to look at, most importantly, is why do insurance agents fail in the beginning? A lot of times it's because they're not tracking their numbers, right? They don't know how many people they need to reach out to get X amount of appointments. They're chasing the best leads. You know, a lot of times they say, "Oh, well, if I can get them in front of me, I'll close them." Yeah, you and the other 1 million insurance agents that think the same thing. It's never the leads, it's how exactly that you're working. And they're constantly changing scripts, templates, changing really how they're coming in. You know, something's got to change if they have a bad week or even a bad month. And that's not always the case. Now, a lot of times agents that are successful, they're doing one of a few things. The first thing they're doing is they're focusing on income producing activities. So what does that look like? They're spending a lot of their time during the day not scrolling on TikTok, not scrolling on YouTube, not watching videos while they're doing outreach. They're just prospecting. They're using time setting appointments, presentations, and follow-ups. And so when you are structuring your day, and when I tell agents you need to be doing 50 hours a week minimum, I am referring to these income producing activities only. That is how you're going to look at it and say, okay, well, am I making the most out of my day? A lot of agents come in and they treat it like a 9-to-5, and they come in and they get a 9-to-5 paycheck, if I'm being frank. And that's not how you succeed in insurance. How you succeed in insurance is operating off of income producing activities and turning that into consistent revenue. Now, what does that revenue look like and how do we, achieve it? At the end of the day, we're all insurance agents and we want to make sure that we're maximizing our output here. And that's why I put together a formula of highly successful insurance agents. Now, when we look at that again, when we look at a formula, what am I exactly tracking, right? And how do I stay on top of it to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my business? And I'm, of course, getting the most out of my leads. And so when we look at the formula here in the top left, 250 touches every single day. That is calls, text messages, DMs, emails. That total number needs to be a minimum of 250. A lot of the top producers are doing more than that. 250 is the bare minimum. From that 250, you should be able to convert consistently 3 appointments per day. From the 3 appointments, a minimum of an 80% show rate, 30% close rate off of those 80% that show, which usually nets you about 3 to 4 weekly deals. Now, again, these are minimums. A lot of our agents that are clearing multiple hundreds of thousands in a year are obviously doing a little bit higher than that, if not a lot more than that. And the reason for that is because when you have structure that is consistent and that is scalable, your income becomes consistent and it becomes scalable. And using a benchmark platform like this will help you stay on track of that as well. Now, a lot of insurance agents, they're obviously, they weren't always insurance agents. You guys come in, you guys apply for the job, you guys apply for the agency, and you're excited to start working. You might have came from service industry, you might have came from school, but regardless, you came from some level of a curriculum where, you start at a certain time and you leave at a certain time. The thing about insurance is that when you jump into the industry, you're on your own for the most part, right? And that's where the business owner mindset really comes and takes a toll within your business. And so what does that look like when you look at a business owner, right? How does a business owner think differently than, let's say, an employee mindset, right? Well, first and foremost, they have full ownership of their results. If they fail or if they don't make money that week, it's not because of the leads, it's not because of the scripts, it's not because of the templates, it's not because the client is stupid. It all falls back on their shoulders. It's their responsibility at the end of the day. They're proactive. So just because they get a result does not mean they can't optimize that result. Just because they close 3 deals that week does not mean they can optimize some of these areas to get to 4 or 5 or even 6 deals that following week. And at the end of the day, they don't have a 9-to-5 mentality. They're not being told what to do because they're already doing it and applying it and moving forward Whereas the 9 to 5 employee, or the insurance agent per se, that's operating on an employee mindset, is not applying that. They're being told what to do. They're blaming others for their mistakes. And there's someone that, again, is so volatile in their emotions, and they're so random with their inputs, they're not going to generate a consistent income in the industry. The last bullet point I put on this for business owners is that insurance agents come into the industry and they get wowed by the big commission checks, or they get wowed by the big meetings, or the big, overview of what the company has to offer. But the main thing that's missed at the end of the day, and the main reason people get in insurance and the people that succeed in insurance long term, are the ones that are in it for the residual income. If you're in it for the commission, I'm sorry to say, but eventually that commission is going to dry out after year one. And so residual income is what you want to build. That means taking care of your clients, doing customer service. That means getting referrals, and that means putting in good business, not getting chargebacks. That's how you're able to operate from a business owner mindset, instead of someone that's really just trying to get a quick cash grab, which, again, it's not what insurance is for. And so when we look at it, and when we're looking at the fact that, okay, so we know how to sell insurance from the standpoint of, we know it's just purely math-based at that point. We know that we have to talk to a lot of people consistently and convert them to closes. We know that if we're random with our inputs, we're going to be random with our income. We know that agents fail because they don't track that stuff and they try to change everything or blame the leads. We know that we have to spend a lot of our time, or at least structure a lot of our day, focusing on things that are making us income, and not things like, scrolling through social media or customer service, or things that's not going to get us a net positive on our income. Fact of the matter is, what happens once we do get them on the phone? How do we make sure that they buy, right? How do we make sure that we're not wasting our time either talking to the wrong person, or waste our time with someone that's, again, was never interested in the first place? And that's where the sales flow comes into play. So I like to break it down really into 4 parts. The first thing that we want to do when we are reaching out to clients and when we're trying to set appointments is you want to make sure that you qualify the lead, right? And when we qualify the lead, it a lot of times agents skip this step, or they don't go as in depth as they should, and they regret it by the time they are on the actual appointment itself. Now, why is that the case? Usually it's because they were never taught how to do it, but qualifying the lead looks as such. Who needs the insurance to begin with? What is their budget? What is the timeline? And who's the primary decision maker? Once you have all of those pieces from this prospect, then you go into booking an appointment. Now, the problem here that a lot of agents run into at this stage, even when they're qualifying, is they confuse a callback with an appointment. Now, what's the difference? A callback really goes into, hey, I'm busy right now, call me back at XYZ time, or I'll get back to you, and they'll plug it into their calendar at that time. You don't know what information that you got from them. You don't know whether they're qualified or not. You don't know when they need coverage. You don't know who the decision maker is, and you're hoping to get a lot of this on the call. Well, chances are, when you book that call back, right, they probably won't even pick up the phone. They've already forgotten by the time they hang up with you what that call was even about. And 2, this is someone that, again, could have potentially been a buyer had you stood your ground. An appointment is someone that's qualified. A callback is someone that is not. Now you book the call, right? Or you're in the process of booking the call. How do I make sure the appointment shows, right? I'm setting a lot of appointments, and I hear this a lot. I'm setting 10 appointments a day, but only 2 of them are showing, right? A lot of times it's because it's a callback. But even if it's not, I hear a lot of times that people are booking appointments, outside of this window of 72 hours. Why? Oh, well, they told me they weren't available. At the end of the day, that goes back to operating as a business owner. I was told this at a very early stage of my career as an insurance agent, where assume that you are the big, CEO macho guy in the big office chair. You're swirling around in your desk, even if you're at home dialing, or even if you are at your, insurance agency dialing at a small desk, right? Because if you assume that, they're going to make time for your insurance. Not all of them will, but for the ones that are truly interested in getting the coverage handled, you want to book it within 72 hours. A lot of times when people are booking the appointment and they say, oh, well, what if they just say, I'll get back to you, or they're not available? Open up your calendar, right? If you have the potential to make money at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or even your own time zone, would you take it? Yes, right? If you had the opportunity to close a deal on a Saturday or a Sunday, would you take that opportunity? Yes, again, you have to be operating on a business owner mindset, right? A lot of businesses you look at, you get upset when they're not open at a certain time that they said they would be open, right? Or if you're walking down and you're like, well, why can't they be open all 7 days? Why can't they be, open past 9 p.m., right? That can be you. Why can't they be you? You operate your own business at the end of the day. And so when you're booking the appointment, open up your calendar if it's truly a time constraint from them, right? Because if they don't have 15, there's, I don't care how busy someone is. If you can't make 15 minutes out of your day to decide on whether or not this insurance plan is for you, and you have 7 days to pick from, and you have from 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., then you are not someone that's going to buy anyway. So book within 72 hours, 7 days, use the 7-day calendar, book late into the evenings if you need to, but that's how you solve that issue. And make sure that you're sending workflows as well. So while you have them on the phone, boom, they're qualified. They meet all the needs of what you look for in a prospect. Boom, email, you're booking within 72 hours. You're going to talk to them tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Next thing you want to do while you still have them on the phone, you want to send them an email invite, whether you use Calendly or whether you use a different software, whether you use Google Calendar, whatever the case might be. I don't care what you use. I use Calendly because it allows you to send workflows. It allows you to send consistent reminders until that appointment time. Now, as far as the workflows, I don't like to send too much, but usually something along the lines of, if we're meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m., you'll get a text in the morning, you'll get a text 4 hours before, an hour before, and usually 10 to 15 minutes before. That's the cadence that you need to use. Make sure that they accept the invite to make sure that, again, you're getting that 80% show rate. Once you're on the actual appointment, so now we're getting into how are we making sure that these leads are getting closed? There's 3 things you want to look at. The first is the situation, right? So they're qualified, right? They need it, the budget, the timeline, and the decision maker. You want to figure out a little bit more about what actually has them looking for insurance, why they're looking to make the switch now, really dig deep on what their current coverage situation is. They're just looking to get it cheaper. They're looking to get better coverage. They're looking for anything specific to their insurance, because that's going to be what tailors your close. That right there, the situation, the number one thing that every insurance agent misses at some point in their career, or at some point, is something that they struggle with. Because the thing about this is that even if you get the situation, sometimes you don't get enough. And at the end of the day, if you don't get enough from the situation, you're going to be left with a bunch of objections when it comes to the close, right? And these are going to be objections that you don't even expect because you didn't handle that situation correctly. One way I was able to stay on top of the situation where I got all of the information out of it was a little acronym called CLASP. CLASP. C, current. What is your current situation looking like, right? When it comes to your coverage, are your premiums going up? Are you losing coverage? Do you not have any at all? Are you in between jobs? Like, what is that looking like for you? L, what did you like about your last plan when you had it? A, alter. What would you alter about it? S, are you the signer or is there someone else? Is there another decision maker right here that you're looking to make sure is also involved, like a husband-wife situation, right? If that's the case, don't pitch them. Wait till you get them together before you go into your whole spiel. And then P, paint the picture. So if, let's say, you're walking in and they tell you, oh yeah, well, I had this one plan, but the premium went up, to $800 a month, and I was looking to keep it around $400. Okay, cool. Was there anything you liked about it? Oh, well, I liked the fact that I could use my doctor, right, wherever I went. Cool. Is there anything you would change? The deductible was too high. Cool. And are you the only person that really decides on stuff like this? Yeah, it's just me. Cool. So if we were able to get you a more affordable plan and you tie it all together, right? So if we were able to get you a plan that was around $250 a month with a deductible around XYZ, we had your doctors or network, is that something that you would potentially want to move forward with? If they say yes to that, you've signed it. You've got them right then and there. Now it's just about the presentation, and now it's just about the close, right? So you should be spending a majority of your time doing the situation so that the presentation really is not taking you much time. It's taking you 2 to 3 minutes, if that, 4 minutes, and depending on how extensive your product is that you're offering. And then you have the close. The close is as simple as making sure that they can qualify for the application, and then walking them through those steps on the application as well. And if you are understanding the situation and you are talking to the right people, then the other 2 things should not be much. It shouldn't take you much struggle or time at all. A lot of times people, like I said, skip the situation, jump into the presentation of what they have to offer, jump into the close and how they can close them, and they need to think about it, need to talk to the wife, all the objections that I'm sure that you guys have heard, right? Now, we've done all three things. Let's say they don't close. Another area that a lot of agents miss is the follow-up. So you want to follow up with these people. If they give you a reason as to why they cannot buy, if they're not qualified, if they're DNQs, obviously you're not going to follow up with them. These are for the leads that you've done everything with. You figured out the situation, presentation, close. Let's say they can't make a decision until they get their paperwork from their employer, right? Something that's out of your control. Well, then that's where you're going to consistently follow up depending on the situation, right? Every situation is different if they're not closed, but every few days, 7 times within 30 days is what you want to do when you are following up with them. And I put this at the end, which is structured persistence. So there's a difference between blowing someone up and making sure that, they still remember you per se, right? So you don't want them to all of a sudden need the insurance again and go somewhere else after you just went through all of this information with them, right? So that's kind of the main thing, that structured persistence where you are, if they tell you, hey, I'll get back to you or whatever the case might be, you still want to, hey, just checking in on you or just checking back to make sure that, we're still good on getting your coverage set up, 2 months from now or 3 months from now, whatever the case is. But you still want to have those touch points in place so that they know you, you know them, and they know that you're going to be the one they go to when they do need the insurance. And so now we got the sales flow, right? We know how exactly to think like a top tier insurance agent. The last thing I want to touch on is the objections. Now, with objections, the first thing I always say is that you kind of just have to memorize these things because really there's not a whole bunch of insurance objections that you would get outside of what I like to call the big four. For the big four, very simple. It's people that are getting blown up, right? You've called me 100 times, 200 times, 500 times. Take me off the list, right? Oh, I already got it covered. That's the second one. I'm busy. And email me, right? Or just send me the stuff, or I'll get back to you. You want to, first and foremost, right? You have to know what the proper objection handling response is, right? So there's a pain point. So if someone says I'm busy, right? They still answered the phone. They still responded to your text message. So they truly can't be that busy to let you know and pick up the phone and say, I'm busy, right? Email me, it's the same thing. They've already been bombarded by other insurance agents to the point where they want to review their information on by themselves, right? But at the end of the day, who's going to do a better job presenting the product? Yourself, right? So that's where you want to make sure that you're articulating to them. If it's someone that's getting a lot of calls, right? Let's start from the top. I'm getting 100,000 calls a day. Did anyone help slow that down for you? That's terrible, right? And show some emotion in that to make it look like you actually give a fuck about them other than just trying to sell them a product. The second one, I'm busy, okay? Completely understand, right? When would be a better time to reach out? Get that time, whatever they say, go into the situation, qualify the lead. Because if you skip that, okay, let me just call you at 4, right? You're just setting another call back for someone that's not going to get back to you, for someone that's not going to be closed, and you're just wasting your time, right? So keep going until they tell you I'm busy a second time. If they tell you, hey, no, man, I can't do this right now, then try to get as much information as you can, set the appointment. The third one, I already got it covered. This one's easy because you are just leveraging the fact that you can keep their file open or closed based off of them saying, okay, well, who did you end up going with so I can update your file, right? Or how much is the current premium of what you're paying, or what's your deductible, or just try to get some information out of them and leverage the fact that you can close out their file or close out the information that's in front of you if they truly got it covered. Because sometimes they'll just say that as a smokescreen just to get you off the phone. And the last one, email me, very similar, right? I have hundreds of different options in front of me. Until we sit down and actually narrow down what makes the most sense for you, I don't actually have anything to email over to you, right? So that's kind of, and then when would be a good time to reach out, or what has you looking for coverage initially, right? So you kind of want to, these are kind of more of like run-on sentences so that you're hitting the pain point, you understand what they're saying, you're not ignoring them, right? You're not just talking over them. You hit the pain point, you say, oh my God, that's terrible, whichever objection it is that we went over. Because it's something beneath that of them either getting a lot of calls or them not wanting to do it right then and there, or, they feel stressed because all the options that are out there, whatever the case might be, you're lowering that pain threshold from them to get them to a point of eventually buying a policy from you. And if the objections come after the full pitch, right, you do the whole presentation. So you run through everything here, you run through 1 through 3, and you're getting objections like, oh, I need to think about it, I need to talk to my wife, and yada, yada, yada. Something went wrong, right? You did not do something correctly. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing all of these things and you're talking to the person that you think is qualified, there's no objections at the end that you should be getting other than how soon can we start this insurance? Okay. But that's kind of the premise of what you need to know when it comes to selling insurance in 2026, whether it's life or health. I hope you guys can take something away from this that we put on the board. If you guys have questions like this, or you guys want to work directly with me one-on-one, I have a 15-minute diagnostic call that I like to do to kind of determine whether or not this is something that's a fit for you. If it is, we can help you get to a consistent $10,000 a month in insurance sales and help slow down the people that are leaving the industry at a very high rate. Until next time, guys, if you guys like this type of video or this style of content, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys shortly.